Apparently, rule number one is not to let anybody hold the mic. Oh, we're gonna have a double act today. Okay. Can you get in closer? Only because I ain't got a wide angle lens. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Say that again.
October red.
Right, you got to get in closer, gentlemen. Like you like each other, like really like each other. Do you know what I mean? We promote everything on our channel. Shoulder to shoulder, mano a mano. October Red Boxing here with Spencer Fearon and Savage Dan. Welcome to both gentlemen. We are here at the Okolie Billam-Smith presser. Isaac Chamberlain and Mikhail Lawal looking a bit lethal up there.
You know what? That's going to be the fight of the night, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Lawal versus Chamberlain. It's going to kick. It's going to kick. I'm telling you, it's going to kick. And not only that, but Isaac's got bigger. You know, I saw Isaac.
Yes.
I saw Isaac at Dean White's son's funeral, and I grabbed his arm and I said, "Bro," and he's just looking big, and I think he's actually believing in himself, like he can knock out guys now. So let's see what's going to happen, man.
Got a little bit of radio silence because they are actually mouthing off towards each other. This is personal.
It is very personal, and you know what? That's a good thing.
Go on, Tony, chin him.
Yeah. I'll turn the camera back to you guys because can't do it, but I'm sure you can see this live on Sky Sports. I wonder what made it personal with these pair, because literally Isaac looks like he's ready to go for it.
You know what? I gotta go close to see this, you know. So it was October Red. It's getting real now. It's getting real. So you know what? I'm fasted to go find out what's going on later. And I got to do my bits for Fight Is Right as well. So Blake, I'm going.
Savage, jump back on. Right, here we go.
I was thinking, where's the third bouncer? Where's it?
And Savage wanted to jump in and get involved. That was a little bit of a fracas between Isaac Chamberlain and Mikhail Lawal. You can see it all on Sky Sports Boxing. It's live now, but I'm sure you can catch up with it after. Savage, welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me. Do you know what? I liked it. I just thought it looked like it could go over at any minute. That's a good fight, though.
I'm going to say that's probably a best kept secret kind of fight because people saw the two of them. We saw the altercation that happened at the Ali Pali last year where Isaac stepped in and said, "What you saying?" To see them together go head to head, like Spencer quite rightly said, this could be fight of the night.
Yeah, I was actually a little bit surprised at how much bigger physically Isaac looked. Because Mikhail is not a small boy, he's a big boy, he's a big solid boy, but Isaac looks every bit as big as him and bigger. That's a quality fight though. And it's a bit of a yin-yang fight because Isaac he's been in more war-ready fights and he's had one relatively recently with Chris Billam-Smith. So he knows what it is up at that level. He is not a big puncher. But then on the other hand, you have somebody who perhaps isn't as cute as Isaac, but boy, can he punch. So it's like, it's the perfect... You have to, when you fight Mikhail Lawal, I'll be honest, you have to be perfect for 36 minutes. You've got to be on point for 36 minutes. It's going to be one of those fights, man. I think both of these fights are really, really good fights.
We talk about that. We talk about the cruiserweights, the cards, the cruiserweights that Boxer, Sky Sports Boxing have got. You know, I've always been an advocate for Richard Riakporhe. We've had Lawrence Okolie come over and he is the star. He's the world champion. But we kind of like see, and this is just my personal opinion, that Riakporhe's kind of like been pushed into the background. What is happening with Richard?
I want to know that as well. No, I'm joking. I mean, Rich, I think it's a huge plus for him, Okolie being signed. I think, obviously, we've heard Okolie reference Richard a couple of times there. It means you've got a direct shot at a world title if you want it. It also means that you've kind of got everyone under one banner. Fights are easy to make. Some people may see it as, you've got Okolie, so you don't care that much about Richard. I see it as you've got Okolie. That's a perfect opportunity for Richard. I would have thought. I think he was ill, but he wasn't at the fight. If I was Richard, I would have been third comms. I would have been saying how poor every shot was. I would have just done everything I could to irritate Lawrence. Obviously, we've seen they had their little moment in the cinema. It's a perfect fight. Honestly, I think that is, without, obviously trying to sidestep this fight, which is a great fight. Chamberlain and Okolie is one that captures the imagination because they are both big punchers. There's a world title on the line. They're both 6'5", 6'6". It's a London derby. I think that's the fight that makes a lot of sense. So we'll see what happens. I want to see Richard more, to be fair, because I think it's a good opportunity for him to almost hijack the show in a similar way where Isaac managed to do it with Mikel. So I think Richard's got all the opportunities in front of him. It's just about what route he wants to go. But you've got everyone here. Like he could fight. Look how many fighters he could fight. It's actually scary. Like he's got a lot of opportunity here. But we'll see. Do you know what it is? I'm not involved in negotiations and stuff like that. I just end up here and I'm talking to you. But I don't know. I've got a soft spot for Richard. I like Rich.
But the thing is, you also understand, the art of boxing itself. You've fought at amateur. You've been in the gym with these guys. You are more connected to the fighters than the company that you actually work for. I believe that you're a true bonus, a true benefit to boxing. And if you were involved in negotiations, I think that we might get some more kind of like spicy fights, because we did have all of that to and fro with Lawrence and with Richard, and it was like, okay, this is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, it went quiet, and it's just like, well, what's going on now? And it is like two stablemates fighting each other. Yeah. Risky.
Very risky. I think the risk is all Chris Billam-Smith's. Chris wanted to fight for a world title. In fact, maybe I'm wrong. I think the risk is all Lawrence Okolie, sorry. Chris Billam-Smith wanted to fight for a world title, and he wanted to fight at Bournemouth. He's two birds of one stone. He's fighting at the Vitality. Yes, it's an old stablemate, so there's a bit more of a story. They know each other very well, etc., etc. But I think he gets what he wants from this fight, whereas Lawrence, even though he signed this fight very quickly, like he wanted it, has a lot more to lose because he has a world title. He's kind of going into the lines then to do it, and potentially you affect the showdown with Richard if this doesn't go to plan. So it's interesting, but obviously, everyone's got their own prerogative. Everyone knows what they want to do, and sometimes, the public will look at it and be like, oh no, this makes sense. This is what we got to do, and it doesn't happen that way because people are going a different route and they're worried about their own stories. As soon as I saw these like swinging it out at a cinema, I'm like, we've got to make that fight. We've got to make that fight. But that's me, and I'm a fan as well. Like as much as I'm in the mix, I'm also a fan. Of course, I want to see that fight. The fight's a great fight. I think it makes business sense. I think it makes a lot of sense for everyone in their careers at this moment. Rapport will get to fight for a world title, but there's plenty of world titles out there. We've just got to get Opatai and Guillamarian to actually fight someone. Or Badu Jack, obviously. I think he'll have a voluntary next, so yeah, probably. So who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Richard's got something lined up.
We definitely hope to see that. But I want to move. We're going to rewind, because we've obviously had today's press conference, but we're going to rewind to a fighter that you've had plenty of conversations with, a fighter that you've delivered some really good conversations, some in-depth knowledge, is Anthony Joshua. I want you, Savage Dan, that's a friend, but also, like a boxing pundit, your thoughts on AJ's performance.
I wasn't mad at it at all. I saw a lot of people saying, it's not the same AJ. I don't think it is the same AJ as it stands, but I also don't think that was a bad performance at all. I think Franklin's a lot better than people think. He's fast, he's tidy. He was considerably fitter and faster for this fight than he was for the Dillian. He came to actually win this fight. And I think AJ actually managed to control this fight more than maybe he's controlled a lot of fights, He never looked in danger of, even when he dropped a couple of rounds, he never looked in danger of losing the fight. Maybe you're having a close look, you're a little bit skeptical in the first 3 or 4 rounds, but nah, he had control of that fight. So I'm obviously everyone wants to see the aggressive, I don't care, I'm walking through you, AJ. But it takes a while. You can get knocked out of that very quickly, but it takes a long time to get back to that. You have to not care. You've got to not care what's coming back at you. And that's the big part of it. If you're going to walk through people, your attitude has to be, I don't care. And you have to care because he knows what it's like to not care. So he's obviously just a little bit more risk adverse. and he's finding different ways to win these fights. I think the next couple of fights will have to be pretty, not careful, but I'd pick opponents that make him look good. Franklin won't have made him look great, but Franklin won't make anyone look great. You know, he's a tough boy, man.
Franklin hasn't been stopped, and I think that's something that people overlook. But there was a point in the fight, and I have mentioned it before, AJ really got him with a neat body shot, and you saw Franklin like wince and drop, and I thought, here we go, he's going to go in for the kill. You've touched on something there, risk averse, because the old AJ, and I did mention it in the presser, the post-fight presser, would have gone for the kill. Why do you think he didn't follow through that shot?
Ruiz won. Simple. Sometimes it's quite simple. Even when even if somebody doesn't say it, you know, he went for the kill with Ruiz and he got clipped going for the kill. So because of it now, it's just very normal PTSD in it. Like in terms of you're gonna behave slightly differently until almost that's forgotten. You know, if AJ put down gloves and didn't spar or do anything, watch boxing or care about boxing for 2 years, he'd come back and probably be a monster. But because you're always in the gym and you're always remembering what that was, I'm guessing, you know, it's just, I think it's you learn, innit? Like if I drop something on your foot and it hurt your foot, the next time you see me drop something, you're gonna move your foot. You just learn. So I think it's a learn, not necessarily a learned habit, but he's learned to be more risk adverse because it puts you at less risk. But the fans will see it as, oh, he's bottling it. Oh, he's not the same AJ. Oh, of course it's not the same AJ. It's a different AJ now.
When you talk about that, and you kind of like said it with like the PTSD, it's like that muscle memory, like you said, the risk averseness of it. But like you said, sometimes if you want to get those devastating, those really good performances, kind of like the fan-friendly performances, because we are selfish, will he be able to get back to that fighter that doesn't care, that's prepared to take what's coming back after him to get that knockout?
Who knows? I'm not even sure if he knows, you know, like it's one of those things. He's winning fights. He's back to winning ways. It doesn't help that he's fought Alexander Usyk twice in a row before that. So you're fighting someone that you have to always worry about what's coming back at you. Once he maybe fights a couple of fighters where he can just blitz someone. If we see him blitz someone, I reckon he'll be all right after that.
Well, when we talk about... Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sister, I love you.
Okay, thank you. I don't even know what the shit I was saying now.
Sorry, sis.
We talk about matchmaking. Matchmaking, his next fight, there was a fighter that he mentioned it in the post-fight presser that, you know, look at Mike Tyson's combat fights. If you look at where the rankings, you know, when Mike Tyson got KO'd, do you think that he gets so much scrutiny? The microscope is really on him to basically say, you were there, you must start there, and you must knock everybody out. That pressure that's on him.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, isn't it? But it's the like the pros and cons of being the golden boy, innit? You're gonna when everyone's singing your when everyone's singing your praises, they're gonna sing your praises. But as soon as you know it's not going to plan, they're gonna kill you for it as well. So I think he's just got to focus on being him. I'm not sure how good he is at blocking everyone out, but if I was him, I'd try my hardest. Just block. You don't have to worry about what everyone else is doing. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's an armchair fan. No one can really fight. So this is the issue that we have in boxing. Unfortunately, as soon as you get on Twitter, everyone's able to talk about what they should have done and who's a bum and who's this. I don't know. It's weird out there, isn't it? But it's what it is. He would have known this is what it is. You're like, boxers understand how tough it is boxing. I'm scared to go to a gym. I'm scared to go in the gym and go really go through the motions because I know I'm going to get my ass worked. They don't know it because they haven't been in there. So it's hard to kind of explain it to them. But yeah, I think he just has to focus on it. If he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. So if he picks an opponent that is perfect for him, they'll say it's a soft touch and you're supposed to look perfect and you're supposed to smash them. And even if he does, you know, you can't win until you're back up with a name that they want to see you win with, a Deontay Wilder, a Tyson Fury. Can't really win, so he's just going to have to just focus on his journey.
If you was involved in future negotiations, like I said, you've got an eye for the sport. Who would you like to see Anthony Joshua fight next to still help build, to help show those skills that Derek James has been teaching him in the gym? Who would you like to see him up against? If you was to matchmake and it's just a one-off.
If I could get I guarantee that Jerome Miller is not on any performance enhancers, I'd pick him.
Okay.
I think you could get enough attention on it. He's a brash American. I'm not sure how much appetite there is for him and Dillian, but those are the two I'd probably be looking at. And then we'll just take it from there.
We like it, and it would be rude of me if we didn't touch on. You kind of like skirted over Twitter. Twitter is a very interesting place, and earlier on today, while I was on my way down to the presser, we saw Michael Benson tweet about Amir Khan having a positive test post-fight, which has gone under the radar for a little bit, and then it's popped up today saying, even though we said, you know, he's not admitting it, he's accepted the fact that he's got a 2-year ban. Now, obviously, that show was on Boxer. There's a lot of questions, and one of them being, in comparison to obviously what's happened with Conor Ben, etc., etc. Just your thoughts on that, Sav?
Is there a real comparison though? If you think about it properly, like it's not like we found out with him. I found out this morning. I found out, yeah. So, and it was a post-fight sample, so it's nothing we would have had any bearing on. It wouldn't have had any bearing on the fight. So we, you know, ultimately, if he has got a banned substance in his body, then good that somebody's flagged it and caught it, but he's a retired fighter now. No one was trying to hide anything. Like we haven't. I didn't know about this. No one knew about this. So it's just one of those things where he's retired. It probably won't have any effect on his career. Not to mention he got beat handily. Probably not the best advertisement for a performance enhancer if he was using it for that. But I haven't seen what he said, but I'm pretty sure he'll say I have no idea what it is and where it was in my body, and I got beat. It's quite easy to skirt over it.
When we look at the system as a whole, and I'm talking about obviously the licensing and how everything is put together, do you think that there needs to be some kind of changes? Because sometimes, and I get it, you're saying that it's post-fight, there's no real comparison, but it seems like one rule for one and one rule for the other. And this is me just looking at it from an outsider point of view. As in, obviously with Conor, something leaked out, then he's been obviously, everyone's had him all over the internet, all sorts of stuff has been happening to him. And then obviously this now has come out, and it's like, well, that's like happened after, and he's just accepted his ban, etc. But apparently nobody knew about it.
Yeah, well, the difference is he probably never planned to fight again. The fact that he got beat. With Conor, I think it raised eyebrows because it was going up to the biggest fight of his life at a higher weight division. And then people had been maybe seeing his recent form and, you know, raising an eyebrow at that. With Amir, it's just like, well, he got beat anyway. It's not like he was ever the most explosive, biggest puncher. I'm not sure what the drug was, but I think it matters less with, not saying it's not the same thing. He's got his ban. But it probably just won't have the same impact because it's not an active fighter and he already lost the fight. It's just one of those things that it probably just won't affect him or anyone for that matter.
The only reason why I look at it is like we can say that obviously it was post-fight. There are holes in it. How long post-fight? If it's post-fight, was it taken just before his fight? There's questions to ask, even though it's a post-fight result. Was it in his system at the time of the fight? When was that test done? All of those kind of like questions.
You'd assume if it's post-fight, it's immediately post-fight, which means it probably was in his system. But my thing is that the relevance is kind of reduced just because of the result and of the activity of the fighter. There's as in like it will be news, but I don't think it's news of any relevance unless Amir Khan tomorrow announces a fight with someone else, and now we have a big conversation to have. But for now, I don't think it. It's you know, this is what you're in boxing. I think drugs in boxing just is horrible, but it's in every sport. You get it everywhere. You've got to try and catch them when you can.
And finally, when are you going to get the Boxer podcast back on? Because it started and it seemed to have disappeared into the ethos. We need you out there, Dan, doing the podcast. I think it was yourself and Mason.
Yeah, it's coming back. It's coming. Do you know what? I hadn't thought about it until you said it, but now that you've said it, it's coming back. It's coming back. I'm gonna get everyone switched on. Trust me, you can see it.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.